Okay, thanks, Max. Good morning, everyone. And I just want to give a big thank you to all the organizers for having me out here and letting me talk about a little bit about my experience on QMIND and kind of what I did and where I'm at right now with King's Distributed Systems. So I'll give you a bit of a warning. Okay, so I'll preface this presentation. Okay, so who am I? Why is this guy talking? What does he know about QMIND? What is this presentation going to be about? You know, they said it was going to be about AI and industry, and it kind of is, but it more or less is just kind of, you know, what I do and how I use kind of the experience and the things I learned on QMIND in what I do today. So, and I hope by the end of this presentation, you're thinking, okay, how do I one day work at King's Distributed Systems? How can I use this amazing opportunity that I've been given or got to be a part of at QMIND and keep that going throughout the rest of your life. So, so what I'll do is I'll give a step-by-step guide on how to be a part of QMIND or part of King. Sorry. Before I do that, I was making this presentation a couple days ago, and I stumbled upon an old video I found of my first Camp QMIND, and actually the first Camp QMIND, and I hope the audio works, but it's
we're having a person you might recognize. Team building activity. Last year we did a scavenger hunt, and this year we're doing a group Goldberg machine construction project where we're organizing people in random groups of people that maybe they wouldn't interact with if they weren't with them in the groups now because they're not on the same projects or whatever, just randomly assigning them.
I'm really excited to get into the world of AI and learn about that, and also meet people who share my goals and my interests, and just become part of a part of this community and develop my skills in this area.
What really brought me to QMIND is really focused on educating their members here, because for me, I really wanted to get into machine learning for my future and my career. So just knowing that they really care about each member and they gave us the power to really influence their project and just in order to learn as well was really what brought me to QMIND.
So this is our way of kind of inducing a little creativity, bringing people together, and trying to have a little fun while we're at it.
Okay, so the point of showing you guys that video was just to show that, this amazing culture, it's nothing new. This is what is ingrained in QMIND, and the intersection of, having fun, learning, and yet, still being able to accomplish amazing and really cool things, and having that ability to grow and explore, has been around for a while, and I was lucky that I was a part of it for a long time, and I hope you guys start to see the excitement and really enjoy your time with QMIND. So, okay, so step one, how do you work at King's Distributed Systems? So you join an AI team, and so King's Distributed Systems wasn't a thing in my first year, but I eventually would think that was something I wanted to do. So I joined an AI team, and as Max mentioned, you guys are going to hear a little bit from Cooper later on, who started this year zero for us. It was 6 teams, 30 students, and we really knew nothing, and no one knew anything about AI. And so I was on a team that we tried to learn something, and I literally knew no code. I was in second year, and really had never coded before. And it's crazy because now at King's right now, we're hiring high school students for internships that they're doing Google courses. And I'm like, oh my God, when I was in high school, I was not thinking about coding at all. But it's great. It's cool to see these people starting this early and earlier and really getting into it. So in my second year, we built a little machine learning recommendation app. It was a recipe app that we scraped 30,000 recipes from allrecipes.com. When you do that, you end up pinging their server a ton, and so they actually end up blocking our IP. So if you do any web scraping on a broad scale, use a VPN. I'm not advocating this. I don't know if there's new rules, but it was kind of like the Wild West back when we were first starting, and just seeing, what we could learn, trying everything. We weren't thinking about really any ramifications, but a VPN is your friend, and so we predicted 5 starter recipes to get someone interested or thinking about what they wanted for dinner, and they were terrible. Like they recommended that you like put chicken with water because those are two both like highly rated ingredients. And so so I was like, I started to learn. I was like, okay, this is a really cool organization. I was like, great. Okay, I'm learning machine learning. I started applying for literally every single job that mentioned the word like concurrent neural network. And you know what happened? Nothing. I literally got no interviews. Like no one is going to hire a second year that did this tiny little machine learning project. But I knew I wanted to be in the tech scene and closer to the action. So I decided I wanted to move to Toronto, and I'll figure it out when I get there. But throughout this time, I'd met a few people through QMIND, and I just really started reaching out, and I actually called probably 20 applied mathematics. I took Apple, 20 Apple grads, and I was like, hey, what do you do? And pretty much, are you hiring any interns? And a lot of them, big shout out to a lot of them, were very kind and told me what they did, and put me in touch with the right people. But nothing right away really kind of panned out. And so literally the day before I was going to move, I got an email from one of these Apple grads I talked to way back in February. And he said to me, he's like, hey, Levi, I remember talking to you way back. You seemed really enthusiastic. You did this cool machine learning kind of project. And we've been opening on our cybersecurity research team that we do a little bit of machine learning. And, are you still looking for a position? And when he said that, I kind of played cool. I was like, okay, I'm not too desperate for a job, but I can't let him know that. But yes, 100%. So he introduced me to his manager. We talked, and pretty much the whole interview, I would say, I just talked about my machine learning this QMIND project that I really had no business talking about. But there was little starts of things I could pull out of this, and they were excited about it, that I was interested in learning. And yeah, through barely getting my feet wet in machine learning, I ended up getting a job at TD Bank that I stayed with them for 2 summers, which was amazing. So after second year, okay, great. I know this a little bit of machine learning. I knew I wanted to keep doing this. And so, what was the next step, for me? And so, the next step was to grow the team. We were 30 little students. And so in our year 1, we absolutely exploded from 6 teams to 20 teams. We had 100 students, 9 client-facing projects. We did a bunch of different, novel architectures. We actually made an onboarding trading, and we got our portfolios online. And so I was so excited to see this potential, and not only the potential of this group, but the passion of people behind it. And you'll see in this next slide, this was our very first, this was before Camp QMIND. This was our first onboarding session in Jeffrey Hall basement. You could probably not pick a worse location to get people excited. But you'll see someone right here. I pointed out an arrow. Of course, Max Bennett, has been around since the beginning, truly. And it's so cool to see Alon and Sydney as well. I know they were on QMIND when I was in QMIND only 2 years ago. I'm not that old, but to see people grow within this organization and stick around for their full career at QMINDs is so cool. And I think it really is a testament to the culture and the people that decide to become a part of this team. So okay, great. So I grew the team. I was a project manager my third year, and you have all these people that have their workbooks that I don't think anyone opened once, but they make a great photo. Then what? Well, then you actually have to work hard. You have to do these projects. You have to we had 5 different client sponsors in our first year, and you can see on the bottom right a very important company. And this, as you might notice, a lot of these are screenshots from old presentations I've done. I was the director of design in my 4th year, managing director of design, and I had to do a ton of presentations, and I tried to reuse as many as you can. I'm much more focused on, or much more interested in technology and the teams and what they have access to. And I was never a big fan of making presentations, so I've reused a lot of old content. But as you can see here, we had some incredible sponsors, and right here on the bottom right is Distributed Compute Labs. They've been around truly since the beginning of QMIND. I remember meeting Dan, the CEO of Kingston Distributed Systems, at the grad club in second years. He's like, hey, we'll get some nachos and we'll talk about some potential partnership opportunity. And I was like, wow, this guy is, an ex-pilot. He's in the military for a while. He's a PhD, and he's doing this crazy distributed computing startup. And I was like, wow, this is happening in Kingston. And they want to be a part of this group. And they recognized the potential and the value of working with QMIND, because it's amazing to learn from, industry, and then also for you guys, but then also for them to, be able to, work with you guys and do cool projects and hopefully eventually hire some of you. So that was our landscape. We did, like I said, 10 different projects, 20 different projects, of course, 20 different projects on the phone all the time, trying to get different sponsors. And that culminated in QCI 1.0 in Kingston. Of course, Dan was there, and we had some speakers from Ecobee and TD and Lawblood Digital, and that was great. And it was a really nice way to wrap up the year and kind of put year one on the books, and take a moment to appreciate the success and the group. But I was still not satisfied. I was like, okay, there's more we can do. I want to be a part of this. How can I help grow this group? We had no branding really. It was still very in its infancy. Like, we'd been literally around for like a year pretty much. And so I decided I want to be the managing director of design. And I hadn't had enough. I saw this amazing group of people and the passion these people can get behind, and I wanted to grow it. So in my fourth year, I was the managing director of design, and we developed this plan to grow QMIND. And so that plan was, of course, general hiring, onboard training, which we then end up naming Camp QMIND. We only planned on hiring 130 people. We thought, the way to scale is literally, not exponentially, but that didn't happen. And our 5 main pillars of our growth were focused around research papers, the conference, office tours, startup incubation, and professional skills development. And so this was our guiding light and what fueled me and really kept us focused on the job. And so, did we do these? You tell me. So we did actually publish papers, albeit this was our own conference that we ran. So we published 35. We had 35 teams in my fourth year. We grew from 100 members to I think 225 members. It was just ridiculous. And every time we're like, oh yeah, let's do this smart. Let's scale smartly. It just, you get like 300 applicants. You're like, how can I say no to all of these people that want to learn? And that was one of our mandates for a long time, was to be a learning first institution. We're not accepting, or like we never had the mentality of accepting like, if you already know how to code machine learning, that's great. But if you don't, this should be a place you should come and want to learn. And that's the experience that I got out of it. I knew, like I said, no code. And I did a project in my third year on predicting housing prices. And of course, I used that to build my resume and get more interested and learn. And so we published our papers in our own conference in Toronto, which I think checked off that box. QCI 2.0, we brought the conference to Toronto. We had, I think, over 300 members actually come from Toronto. We brought people from Waterloo, Western, Ottawa, Ottawa, Carleton, and we really bootstrapped this. Like, we literally just said, hey, we'll pay for your buses. We ended up spending like way too much money on all of these for all these other schools to send buses to this conference, but we're making this happen. We've already paid for all the hotel rooms and the food. We need people to fill these seats. And we did it. It was amazing. big shout out to everyone involved in that. That was one of the most crazy few months before that I think I've ever experienced. And my laptop's about to die, so I need to plug that in. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I've been working in this organization for this conference. So we did the conference in Toronto. Did we do office tours? Oh, before I mentioned, I don't know if you guys know who that is on the left there, but that's Geoffrey Hinton. He's the godfather, labeled the godfather of AI. And he was very, very fortunate, we were very fortunate that he agreed to come to our conference. And I think really set the stage to show that, we meant business, and this was not just some, little Queen's conference. This was the Canadian undergraduate conference on AI. And I thought it was a really cool moment when the Dean of Engineering asked us to introduce him to Geoffrey, because he knew what this meant. And of course, if you haven't met Dean Deluzio or know who he is, he has been so instrumental in QMIND as well. And really, really has been a big supporter, along with King's Distributed Systems. I would honestly say that those two organizations are, QMIND wouldn't be in the position they have without those two people. So we did this conference. Did we do office tours? No, but we brought Microsoft to Kingston with a bunch of recruiters, which I don't know. I thought that counted. It was really cool. They did a big Azure weekend, and I think a few members actually ended up getting hired. Did we do a startup incubation? Yes, we did. We ended up founding, me and a few others, Incubate, which of course is still thriving today, and was our goal to really allow members to kind of have a specific business oriented approach to machine learning. And so often as engineers, personally I get, in this solution driven mindset, and you're like, okay, how does actually someone use this? Is this useful? Will someone pay for this? And so that was our goal with Incubate, was to make a separate space that was less so research focused, and more with the business aspects. You do a whole project plan. We hired, some commerce students, and it was our way of expanding as well to different faculties, besides just computer engineering, comp sci, and a few others. So that was great. We had 5 teams in our inaugural year, a few client partners, and I was really proud of all the work that they did. And professional skills development, I just checked that off because I think regardless if you do your QMIND project with passion and really soak up the learning, that counts as professional skills development. You can use that. I of course always put my projects on my resume. You can speak to it, and I think in these days when a lot of tech companies, not only want to see the work that you've done, the courses that you've done in your education, but also, do you have any passion projects? Have you been involved? And with these team-based programs, can you communicate with other people? Because I think that's becoming more and more important as our whole work landscape moves online. One thing that I see is the ability to communicate, especially working remotely, has become just even more important, because you can't kind of go up to someone and say, hey, how you doing? You kind of have to reach out, and it's different. So the atmosphere and the kind of camaraderie that you develop at QMIND, I loved. And so so we worked hard. This was great, but of course you still have to have some fun. This was our first birthday party at Clark Hall, and you can see this is not quite 100 people, because unfortunately we didn't really have that much foresight, and a lot of our members weren't legal. But we made up for it in spades, I hope, by doing every single Sunday. We were in Matt Quarry. We bought a ton of food. We had these firelights set up, and it was just like a place for teams to come together, because it's tough. Like when you have 100 people, how do you create that sense of community? And you do what you can, but it is easy to get stuck in your little node or cluster. And so I'm excited for when you guys get back to in person, and and are able to share time together. And I believe the best learning and teamwork is done in person. So, okay, great. So I had all of this experience. I was involved in many different organizations, and then what? So you go through this degree, you get involved as much as you can. I made some of my closest friends through QMIND, and it's literally all gas, no brakes. And so what did I do? Well, I took a break is what I did. Like many others in my class, I was planning on traveling that summer, and then unfortunately, due to the whole global pandemic, that wasn't in the cards. So I took it really easy. Like I said, like that whole conference, fourth year was insane, and I loved it. I don't no regrets for a second, but it was crazy. So I took it easy. I woke up, went for runs, read a lot, and took it easy. And so, which was great for a while. But then after 2 months, I started getting that itch that I want to start solving problems. I want to continue to build things and be part of a team. And so and working with smart people. So I figured I needed a job. I figured I needed to do something after I graduated. And so I reached out. I took a screenshot of my message to Dan. I knew Dan, of course, through his undying support of QMIND. I said, hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out. I know the commitment to building Kingston technology scene. I was wondering if you knew any positions. And I actually didn't even consider Kings at first. Just I had loved the work they did, but I didn't want to leverage that too hard. And Dan was like, yeah, let's have a chat, Friday at our office. And that pretty much basically turned into an interview right away. And then I started working there literally the next week. And so it's the connections and the people you meet. Of course, with my technical background, that really got me both positions at the bank and with King's Distributed Systems. And I've been with Kings for almost a year, not quite a year and a half, but a year and a quarter. So, and I've loved it. It's been amazing. And so what do? So basically, Dan offered me a position doing JavaScript development, and I declined it because I knew I didn't want to do JavaScript development. He's like, okay. We have this machine learning team. We want you to be a part of it. I think that's more up your alley. And I jumped on that opportunity. I was like, yes. That is what I want to do. And I hope you guys remember that too when you're applying for jobs and maybe when someone gives you an offer, make sure it's something that you want. Don't just take it because, it's a good firm or, you feel like you need a job. You want to make sure you're set up in the right environment that you can learn. And so, yeah, so what do I do right now? So I guess this is the point of the conversation. What's AI in industry? So right now I'm the lead of our AI task force at Kings. And so we work on a lot of really cool stuff. And I'll give you a few examples. So one thing we've done is trying to get BERT onto DCP, not this BERT, but this BERT, which is a machine learning natural language processing algorithm. And it's fully connected. And we built our implementation from scratch to try to get this distributed such that you can predict different basically speech to text segments on a million different workers and have it much faster than you can run on a GPU. So that's something I've done. I've done airplane scheduling. So I know I'm sure a few of you guys are in Apple, and I took Apple and I thought I'd never use the math. But I actually do a lot of math and optimization theory. And so one of our clients that we worked with was a consultant for Chicago O'Hare, and they wanted to know, okay, can we use machine learning to better schedule airplanes? And so this was a project I worked on for about 4.5 months. And we have to think about, okay, what are we trying to optimize for? How can we allocate these planes in a way that not only meets all of our hard constraints? You can't put a Boeing 747 on a little private jet airstrip, but maybe you can put 2 little private jets on a Boeing 747 entrance. And so there's a lot of interesting domain like knowledge you need to have to like work on these problems. But our main goal was trying to optimize for robustness. And so, you know, you have your acceptance factors that, you know, if I shift, you know, one schedule, or, you know, if I randomly distribute all the schedules within 10%, does that like basically mess up my whole schedule, or am I still able to get like most planes out on time? And so this was a really cool project. And you know, we approached it from a research lens, and we said, okay, you know, what's out there? You know, we did our due diligence. It really just felt like a big QMIND project. And I was like, wow, like I get to keep doing this stuff and I get paid. This is awesome. And so what do I do now? So, you know, we did all that logistics stuff, and we realized, okay, you know, we're actually pretty good at, you know, allocating planes to gates. And, you know, can we do, we basically like got a call from a hospital, and they're like, can you do surgical smoothing? So like operating rooms and surgeons. And we're like, oh, that's no different really from planes and gates. And so yeah, we can do that. And so this is actually what I've been working on, and is my core function for the last 5 months. We work with a few hospitals on surgical smoothing. And so can we predict how well different block allocations are going to perform? And can we basically, can we provide recommendations to a hospital staff saying, okay, you know what, we want to put urology and orthopedic surgery on this day. Oh, actually, no, that's a bad decision because, they have a lot of competing resources. And so you look at things like shared resources, who's working, historical averages, and basically, you use machine learning and reinforcement learning and try to pick out trends. And it's a lot of like, really just, do and try things. We failed a few times. We thought that, we could do it on a block level. Like we could predict, orthopedic surgery and urology together. And it's like, okay, you can't do that because you don't know what's actually happening within that block. And it's a lot of trial and error. It's going back to the client often being like, hey, this didn't work, or can you tell me more about this? And getting really intimate with the client and understanding their needs has been such a cool process. And like I said, this again basically feels like another QMIND project, albeit a lot longer scale, and working with the business team to sell it to hospitals, and you have a few different factors, pushing in on this, but it's amazing. I love the community that works on it, and again, there's some really smart people work here, and it's been awesome. So, and of course, we still continue to have fun. That was our intern's last day. We did a KDS fun day we went for a big hike. And as you can see, this is a young company. A lot of our team is hired out of QMIND and from the Kingston scene, and we're committed to hiring students, and I feel like have the same kind of mentality. It's like, if you have that passion to learn and want to be successful, then you have a place at King's Distributed Systems, just like you have a place at QMIND, because it's not about, if you're a nasty coder, really, really good, that's great, good on you, but you have to get there, and it's really cool to see a company that's willing to take that chance and develop that talent early, because a lot of companies don't, and so I'm grateful as well. And so that's pretty much it. I think I'm reaching about my time. So basically the point I was trying to make was, enjoy your time at QMIND. I think it's an incredible organization, and it's so cool to see, what it's become, and how, the leaders have continued to deliver and really provide an amazing experience for everyone. And it makes me really proud to see that as well, and really happy and thankful that I got to be a part of it for a few years. And then of course, reach out to us. Like I said, like my whole job feels like a big QMIND project, and it's amazing. So if you're interested and want to reach out more, talk to me or anyone on the Kings team, I would love to talk to you guys. This is my LinkedIn in the photo, and of course, you can read more about the projects we do on kingsds.network. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again for listening, and hope you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Thank you.